to our visitors and guests. If you would like, we invite you to take a moment now to introduce yourself. Anyone?
I guess I'm Pat. It's my first time here. Nice to meet y'all. I'm Erin. It's also my first time here.
To anyone who is visiting, we hope that you have given or will give us some contact information in our guest registry here at the entrance or on our website at www.unistatesboro.org so that we can send you some more information. Thank you, members and guests, for sharing your resources during our offertory later in our service or again via our website. In the month of February, half of our offering that is not designated as pledge will be donated to Action Pact, the organization that operates the Bullitt County Senior Center and Meals on Wheels locally. Now I invite you to join me in reciting our congregational affirmation.
Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is His prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Our worship leader this morning is our intern minister, the nearly Reverend Randy Blasch.
I love the way he started it, so I'm going to continue it. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Let's do it together. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Let's together light our chalice this morning, and then following that we will stand and sing Rise Up, O Flame, and we'll sing it twice through. This is our
chalice of love and light, uniting us all by day and night.
Let's rise and sing.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
And while you are standing, we'll turn to one another and offer each other the hand of friendship. We have a very special story for all ages, so young people, if you feel like it, you want to come up and sit up front, or you can stay where you're at. Reverend Jane is going to do it.
I'm going to do it right from right here. So,
Here's a picture up here that everybody look up. This is for all ages now. February, you know what we commemorate in February? Black History Month, right? And regardless of what directions we hear from other people are, we're going to continue to celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Statesboro. Not just, of course, in February, but all year long. All year long. Our nation is made up of people from many different cultures, many different abilities and identities, and we celebrate and honor our differences while also realizing that we have so much in common as well. This morning I want to honor a special woman from our own history in Statesboro. This picture you see up here is Mrs. Alethea Lewis. Alethea Lewis. Now, many of you know that I grew up in Statesboro in the 50s and 60s. I was born in 1950. And I knew who this was from a very early age. She and her husband owned several businesses in Statesboro, including one I saw a lot when I'd see moving around town, Lewis Van Lines. Now, Lewis Van Lines would move you across town or across the country if you wanted to. It was very unusual, y'all, back in those days, for a woman to have a role in business. But Ms. Lewis not only had her own beauty shop for a while, and then she later worked side by side with her husband. She was very much involved as a very important businesswoman in Statesboro. I also would hear her name on the radio sometimes because Mrs. Lewis was one of the founders of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, and she was also the president for a good while of it. Now, it was also, now this is way back when, very unusual at that time for a woman to lead an organization like this. But she did. Now, her husband also led it for a while, too. But I can tell you that even when he led it, probably she was doing a lot of work. Maybe not, I shouldn't say that. Mr. Charlie was a good guy, did a lot of work, too. But I know her better, and she was really quite a woman. Now, when I grew up, y'all, Statesboro had two main communities. We were not as diverse as we are now. There was the white community, and there was the black community. And the laws and practices at that time seem very strange now, but we had, everything was separate. Separate schools for the two groups, separate water fountains, separate ways of doing things. And there were many things I could tell you about if I had time, and maybe one day I will, that made it very, very difficult for black folks at that time. And we still have some of that lingering today. These things just don't, and some things we thought had we moved on from seem to be rising back up again, as you all know. Now, in 1965, how many of you were around back in that, not in Statesboro, but can remember 1965? Okay. Some of you. In 1965, that was the year I turned 15, Congress began to pass the legislation that would change some things. And it was in that year, that some things changed in my school. I went to high school at Statesboro High School. And in the 10th grade that year, when I got to school, there were several brave black students that came to our school. I later found out how that came to be. Mrs. Lewis organized these students. She was the primary organizer. She chose which students would be successful, not only because of academics, but which students were strong in stamina, okay? Because she knew that most of the white students and their families would not want them there. So she had to be very careful about that as they worked with which students were going to be the first ones to come into Statesboro High School. And she worked with them on how they should react so that they wouldn't get in trouble if they were provoked. Her own children were among the first that came to the white schools. One of her daughters was in my class in the 10th grade. All of the students when we were in school still remained very separate. I got to know Charlene Lewis out in the hallway. We hang out a little bit. And we would exchange conversations in the hallway. And I discovered that Charlene was a lot like me. She was kind of a cut-up. Okay? And we liked having to tell jokes and we just had a good time in those hallway situations, you know? But I found out also that I began to realize that she was more like me than many of my white friends. Both of us were from families who owned their own businesses and were hardworking and had a strong work ethic that they made sure they passed on down to their children, you know. And our mothers worked. Both of us had mothers that worked outside of the home. But you know, other than those situations in the hallway, we never interacted. I did not invite her to my home. I did not encourage her to join any of the clubs I was a part of, or join the Flagettes, or anything else. Now later, I became a teacher in the Bullitt County schools. That was when they first came under court order and were fully integrated. My first year of teaching was the first year that we were fully integrated in the Bullitt County schools. But then I discovered, after staying home with my little babies and coming back to the Statesboro schools later, that the schools had found a way, under parental pressure, to separate and segregate the children in the schools under a system called tracking. Okay? System called tracking. And I became very determined when I became a college professor to work with others to end that practice. So who do you think I worked with? Mrs. Lewis. Mrs. Lewis. And she gladly welcomed me to partner with her in efforts to change these practices. And we did. We were able to change those practices. I will always be grateful for her acceptance of me, even though I had not fully accepted her daughter and others earlier. I had great shame about that and later wrote them all a letter, you know. I did. Mrs. Lewis did many other things to help her community during her lifetime. She got lots of honors about that. She will be remembered for a long, long time. But I wanted to lift her up today and share my appreciation. I wish she was still here to help us through tough times. She is not, but she taught us through her example that we should welcome our neighbors who may be different and work with them to have a better community and a better world. Thank you, Mrs. Alethea Lewis. A little of Statesboro history for you folks, okay?
Really good.
And now we'll ask some of the children to come up and help us to lead our affirmation. Who wants to come and help? I'll turn it back over to Randy.
All right, we got some folks coming up. Are we ready? Let's do our affirmation. We are Unitarian, Universalist,
People of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands.
And let's stand up and make our bridge while Reverend James plays it. Beneath our arms, we shelter you. You warm our hearts as you pass through. May our Lord guide you as you go. Your loving word has come to be around. I ask you to prepare yourself in the way that is most comfortable for you for meditation. Our meditation this morning is from a book called More Salt Than Diamond. They're poems written by a woman that I had the honor of feeding. Her name is Aileen Mello. And she is an undocumented immigrant who was getting her PhD at Ohio State University when she wrote this book, and she met with me in a group that I used to work with. And this particular poem is called Responsibilities of the Immigrant. Here we must be thankful for each day they don't see us, don't notice we are here in the home of the brave. We hide and keep our heads down, and there's no complaining. Didn't we choose this? Didn't we leave something and cross another? Didn't we fight for this? So we number our blessings, and the first needs to be the English language. The second must be opportunity, vague and sacred, to see power from this side of land and water. Third is the superior culture, the politeness, the cordial ways Americans choose to lie. A moment of silence. Come, whoever you are, wanderers, worshipers, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. That opening hymn invites us to go on a journey together. And everyone on that journey is free to come along. No matter who you are, where you come from, the color of your skin, or who you love, come with us. Everything's set up except for this. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Come with us, you are welcome. Come to this place. But we had an interesting question this morning that came up at the end of Jane's UU 101. Do we really mean it? Do we mean everyone is welcome here? Well, at this moment in time, at this place, right now, I do think we mean it. But, as Jane said, that hasn't always been the case. All around this part of the country, there are memories of a not-too-distant past where we weren't so welcome. Of course, you can have drinking water, but you can't drink from this fountain. You can shop at our store, but you have to use the back entrance. Sure, you can ride the bus, but you have to sit or stand in the back. That went on in many of our lifetimes. We were part of that. But it just wasn't about the color of your skin. Gender equality didn't exist by law. Women, you can use birth control with your husband's permission, of course. You want to own a home or get a credit card and you aren't married? I'm sorry, ma'am, but a woman isn't allowed to do that. After all, a woman's place is in the kitchen. But even deeper than that, at the entrance to this country, the poem on the Statue of Liberty says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free." Well, I think that has been adjusted recently to say, of course you can come here as long as you have blonde hair and blue eyes and didn't trek thousands of miles on foot to escape murder or rape or extortion, or if you have enough money or know the right people, sure, we'll let you in. For a while, we did say maybe if you cut our grass or pick our crops, we'll turn a blind eye, but don't expect us to support your children getting a fair shake and a good education. As a matter of fact, now that we think about it, we might put your children in cages or send you to Guantanamo Bay. And all those promises we made to you before, well, we changed our minds. So let's just send you back to where you came from. Even if it means certain death, even if it's to a place you've never been because you were brought here to this country when you were just 6 weeks old. That is happening right here, right now, right under our noses. Just this past week, a friend of mine who does human resources at a factory up in Cumming, Georgia, was told that 7 of her engineering employees who are here on what they call TPOs, temporary protective orders, from Venezuela will be deported back the first week in April. As far as everyone is concerned, they no longer exist. We have heard all the excuses, all the prejudices. Some of us lived it. In the last couple of weeks, they told our trans brothers and sisters that not only don't we approve of you being who you are, but we are going to make sure that you can never be your true self, because now there are only 2 genders. And even if you legally transitioned, we may take that back from you. And, oh, by the way, you won't be eligible for insurance coverage of medical care or mental health care because you no longer exist. And for those organizations who have been working for decades to help those who are less fortunate, well, we're just going to take away all your money. Or in the case of USAID, we're just going to shut you down completely. No more working with foreign governments to make their countries safe places to live. No more helping refugees who are fleeing from war or natural disasters. And no more money for controlling diseases like Ebola from entering the United States. No, we're going to put on our blinders that we bought at Neiman Marcus. We're going to close the window shades and the doors and hope for the best. For as long as we have been a nation, we've said things to justify keeping the powerless under the thumb of the privileged few. And done our best to rid society of those they deem unwanted. Think of the phrases, children are to be seen, not heard. A woman's place is in the home. You are an abomination against God, and you'd be better off if you were to stay in the closet, or better yet, not even exist. After all, we know some people should just know their place. And some people should just pull themselves up by their bootstraps and just get a job. And one of my favorites is, well, maybe we'll try and help, but if we do, it could bring down our property values. So maybe we'll help as long as it's not in my backyard. Before I began my internship, I was required to work as a volunteer for a non-profit organization. It's part of the program they have at Meadville. Now, prior to the inauguration and all that has come with it, I would have been proud to mention the name of the group, but because of the work they do and the people they serve, I'm going to do my best to be extremely vague. This nonprofit is an organization that works on helping young people who may be undocumented or underdocumented to get into college. You see, here in Georgia, regardless of a student's standing or grades or any of those things, they are severely limited on not only where they can go to school, but they are treated as out-of-state students, even if they've lived here their entire lives. And as far as tuition goes, they're not eligible for financial aid, including loans at the state-run institution. So this organization helps these young people write their essays and apply to schools that are welcoming to those who are undocumented. And my job during my work with them was to transport these students from their homes to an undisclosed location that I had to sign a form saying I would not tell them where I was taking them, once a week for them to take classes that included just applying and working towards getting to college, but also classes on how to protect themselves from ICE and other organizations who may be seeking them out. My privilege of being a gray-haired white man made them significantly less likely to be pulled over by authorities going to and from the organization's location. I was humbled by these young people. They were and are amazing. These are students that would have been, if not limited by their residency status, National Merit Scholars, and certainly would have been eligible for Hope Scholarships had they qualified, which they don't in Georgia, and most certainly eligible to apply at the University of Georgia, but they're not allowed to because they're non-documented students. They were smart. They were funny. They were high school kids, just like any other high school kid. I was changed by my interactions with these young people, so much so that after my required time at this organization ended, I volunteered a second year, just because I so believed in the work that was being done. And while my first year had been fun, and it really was, I had a group of young people in the car, and it was a lot of fun, it was that second year that really was life-changing. I only had one young person that I transported that second year. I would pick them up, drive them an hour to the school, and then return several hours later to drive them home. Because on top of everything else, not only did they need the safety of a person like myself to drive them, but of course they had no driver's license because they were undocumented. But our trips with this person were different. Before long, this person started playing music for me from their phone. You know, they'd plug in. There was a wonderful mix of rap and hip-hop and music from their homeland. And one day, they said, "Have you ever heard this?" and played some Frank Sinatra. Our trips turned into dance parties, well, at least on the way home. On the way to class, we would talk about their week, their dreams, college applications. It was wonderful. I remember the day they told me about not getting into the college that was at the top of their list. But then, just a few weeks later, I got a text message with a picture of their acceptance letter from another equally amazing school. And that letter stated that they had received an award of a full scholarship, all tuition, room and board. We hugged and danced our way to class. It was a day full of joy, just knowing that this young person was letting me into their life and celebrating with me was more than I ever expected. They got a piece of my heart, and for that I am forever grateful. They also told me in those trips back and forth about how they came to be in the United States, how their mother was escaping poverty and horrible living situations, and how this person was literally passed through the fence when they were just 6 weeks old, and how they were left with someone they didn't know until their mother was finally able to join them. Months later, how their mother worked 2 jobs, and how they were at the top of their class in high school, but of course got no rewards or recognition because of their residential status. And how, when they were 16, they were so excited and applied for Dreamer status. But shortly after they applied, it was put on the back burner during the first administration of our current president. I held their hand when they cried about their grandmother dying and them not being able to go to the funeral in their home country because they wouldn't be allowed back in the United States. The only home this person has ever known. Because of this person in my life, immigrants were no longer invisible others. And when I hear about the atrocities at the border or packing them up and shipping them to Guantanamo Bay, it's this young person's face that I see. I am joyfully able to say that we still keep in touch, even though I moved down here and they are enjoying college. They send me pictures from school and we text back and forth intermittently. I reached out to them the day after the election. I apologize for letting them down, not being able to keep them safe. I told them if they needed anything from me, I would be there. They sent me a heart emoji and thanked me for being there for them. But it made me think, am I really willing to take that next step for them? If ICE came for them, would I protect them by hiding them in my house? Or by putting my body between them and those who are wanting to ship my young friend back to a country they don't even know and have never even seen? For this young friend, the answer is yes. Without hesitation. I would go to jail for them. I would be a shield for them, and I think if it came to it, I would put my life on the line for them. To keep them free. I truly believe it. I know that we can't do it all. And I'm not trying to suggest that maybe there's some magic thing that we need to do here. But what I'm asking is, if the opportunity presents itself, are we, as a congregation, willing to accept these people that have been marginalized by our country as our neighbors? Take a second and look around. And I mean, actually look around at this congregation. It's a beautiful congregation, full of lots of wonderful people and diversity. Now, imagine this congregation filled with new faces. People who are here wanting a safe place to hide from the terror that is after them. And they have become a part of this. A real part. Exactly as they are who they are. Right now in this country, people are being literally asked to turn each other in for not complying with the new status quo. These neighbors need us. The world needs us, especially right now. Can and are we willing to take the next step? And yes, I think that they need us. But I think more importantly, I think we need them. Now more than ever. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. I'm going to ask you all to stand now. We are going to sing together again. We are going to sing hymn number 168. You don't need your hymnal. I'm sorry, 138. It's 168. Doesn't matter. I've got it on the screen. Jane's going to play for us. We're going to sing together one more step.
One more step. We will take one more step till there is peace for us and everyone. Take one more step. One more word. We will say one more word till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word. One more prayer. We will say one more prayer till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song. We will sing one more song till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
You may be seated. Now is the time where this community comes together to share together. We will accept this morning's offering, and as they say, you can either use the code up there or drop it into the plates that we will pass around, and Jane's going to play. This church and others like us who are weaving a tapestry of love with our lives and the lives of those we cherish in this community, we give thanks. May we use it rightly and justly to do the work of the people here. We are going to have an update from our immigrant support group now.
Colorful immigrants. Some of you know, as Unitarians, one of the things that we really focus on is services of prayer. And right now. Let me say, so I'm a part of the group, Statesboro Migrant Support Group. And we've had, so I'll give you a little update on what we're doing, and then encourage you, if you would like to get involved, to let me know. I know for me, what has been going on in our country feels like a giant wave. So I have this tiny little piece that I've carved out for what I want to do. And I hope you all carve out your own little pieces, because I think it can get really overwhelming, but I think we need to not be frozen by that. Okay. So the Migrant Support Group has several members of our fellowship involved in it, which is wonderful. So I wanted to make sure that was clear. We've had 2 meetings. The first one was on the 13th of January, and Eduardo from Migrant Equity attended and gave us some information. And the second meeting was a potluck at the Catholic Church on the 3rd of February. We had about 35 people at the first meeting and about 55 people at the second meeting. So who besides us wonderful Unitarians were in the room? Here's what I would say. I would say who was in the room was a lot of advocates. Some of us were Hispanic and some of us were not. But we did not have people who, too many people who were without legal status in the country in the room because they're scared. And so their advocates showed up. And I think us wonderful white people showing up was nice, because it showed that we care. And I think that's important. But more importantly, I think the Latino community is showing up to be there as well. So I really feel like our job is to find out what people need and then try and be helpful to them, but not to try and tell them what we think they need or how we're going to be helpful to them. So I'm trying really hard, which requires, by the way, a lot of translation services. So I think those of you that are bilingual, you know you know. Okay, so community members came, including clergy from several of the local congregations, which was wonderful. Some of the folks work in schools, which was also really wonderful. And some of us were retirees, and some of us had been in the country for a very, very, very long time. And some of us were fairly new. Okay, I have an email, a very secret email phone list of people that has about 60 people on it, and I say secret because I never send emails out to everybody unless it's flying CC. I'm trying very hard to be aware that it would not be good for certain people to have anyone know who's in the group. So what do? Well, we had a whole list of things. It was interesting, in the beginning I got an email from somebody who said, well, what can we do? Maybe we could come up, besides some kind of underground railroad. And I'm like, oh no. let me tell you what we do. So I'm going to give you just a list of things that we're doing, trying to do, willing to do. Okay. One is to have a witness team, people who will show up when there's ice raids or any other kind of raid, just to bear witness, so that these things are not happening in the dark. We're trying to put together some fundraising. The board here has created a funding line for people who want to donate money to help families and individuals that are dealing with this, because often one person in the family leaves, often that is the person who works. They get arrested in a raid and everybody in the family is left behind, and then there's no money for groceries or anything. Resource distribution team. So that is about like getting information, usually in a language besides English, out to people who may be dealing with this, don't have legal status. Like, let's get them into the Spanish markets and different places for people to be aware of what their rights are around ice raids. And other advocacy and political action. We had one member of our group actually go and talk to the superintendent of schools, because there is some fear that ICE will come into the schools and take children away, which they can. And then the last thing is household assistance, helping with transportation and chores, especially for people who may be caring for children whose parents have been taken away and sent to Gitmo or wherever they're sent. Okay, so the other thing is we recently had a request, and I think it's an honorable one, that we move beyond the Latino community, because there are other people, who particularly like Southeast Asian folks, that also need that support, so we're expanding. The next meeting that we're going to have it over Zoom, break up into teams, have team leaders. If anybody is interested in getting on my secret special email list, I brought the QR code. I got you, Aaron. The QR code, so you can go in and fill out a form, and then I'll get you on the mailing list. I unfortunately don't have it put up on the screen. But I do feel very, like I said, very moved to do this work. I think we all have things that we can do to be helpful in this community, despite what can seem like something incredibly overwhelming. And I would imagine just about everybody in this room is a child, a descendant of immigrants. So this is very close to my heart. Thank you.
I just want to say how much I appreciate the idea of going to the superintendent of schools. You know, we all have these silly things that we follow on TikTok or other social media. One of them that I followed is a gentleman who looks much like me, except he has a beard, big southern accent, and he's the principal. And he gets phone calls from people, and he's the principal. And he put out a message yesterday, I saw. We talked about schools. And again, I'm like, all right, here it comes. I'm about to unfollow. I'm really ready to stop following this person, because I knew where he was going. And he talked about how schools need to continue to be that safe place for migrants. Kids should be able to go to school and not be afraid that someone's going to walk in and take them from their parents and from their families. Needless to say, I did not unfollow him at that point. Thank you, Adrian, for the work you are doing. Please make sure if this is something that interests you, touch base. Now is the time in our service where the love that binds us together is spoken aloud. If you have a joy or concern you would like to share with this caring community, I invite you to come forward as you are able, and either light a candle or place a stone in the bowl. Share your joy or concern. Please use your name if you are comfortable, so that we can share this with you.
Yeah, I'd like to put a stone in. I'm not a big phone person, but you can learn Spanish right now. It's an app called Duolingo. It's free. I've been learning Ukrainian for 300 days straight on it. It works and it's free. Also, if you saw the article in the Herald, you can also help Ukrainian English teachers for free right from your home if you go to Engine. And then there's another program that I'm on, been on for a couple of months now, where you can talk to people in Ukraine and help them with conversational English. You do not have to be ESL trained at all. They just want to improve their conversational English. There's another app that I don't have, hope to never have, but they use. and that's the air raid app. And so while you're talking to them, if there's a drone attack, they'll have to suddenly get off. If there's a ballistic missile hit, they won't be able to use the app because those are too quick, and they're destroying very quickly warehouses and things like that. So, and the Ukraine is going to be, I guess I'll be the point person for that, given my background, though I support, of course, what's going on here with migrants as well. So please, you can learn Spanish right now. It's 5 minutes a day, and the translation issue, we can work on that.
Say the name again.
Oh, I'm Greg, I'm sorry.
Of the app.
Oh, the app is Duolingo, exactly as it sounds, one word, and it's free. They'll try to get you to pay, as well as apps where you want this, you want that. Just skip right through, and you get a free lesson.
And what was the one for helping conversational English?
That was in the Herald, that was called Engine, E-N-G-I-N. That's for English language teachers in Ukraine to help them. There's another one called balakun.org, which is for anybody, and I'm currently on with a 17-year-old and a 51-year-old. They tell you, well, the 17-year-old, we try not to talk about the air raids because he's only 17, but the 51-year-old describes the air raids. These are Iranian drones that come over in packs. So thank you. Yeah, they're Iranian. They're bought by the Russians primarily.
Oh, Iranian.
Iranian drones.
Hey guys, I'm Arwen. Last year, my uncle Dave was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and 3 months ago, he finished chemo, but this last week he got another scan done, and all the cancer's in all his lymph nodes. As of right now, he's only open to conventional medicine. I've offered what I can do for him, but if he's decided to go that route, just pray that he finds peace and he does recover. Thank you.
This is, for me, a favor from you. I got an email. I was in Chicago this last week at Meadville, and while up there in the middle of class, I got an email that made me swallow a little hard. Friday, April 4th at 12 noon, I will be meeting with the MFC for my final stage of being approved as a Unitarian Universalist minister.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm Sherry. I just want to update those of you who care but aren't on the caring bridge for Matthew and Sarah. Matthew, who is dealing with leukemia. The good news this week is that a donor has been identified for his stem cell transplant. So it looks like if he can stay relatively healthy, that he will be able later this month to go to Atlanta, be checked in. He'll be here for 6 months. So that's some really good news. A continuing opportunity for us to be supportive other than love and sending cards and sending prayers. Martha has organized a meal train because, as y'all, most of you know, they have 4 young children, 11 and under. So what we've done, we're doing meals. Several of us have signed up to take a meal to the family here in town on Mondays. And so that's going to be expanded to Thursday. Another friend has started doing a Thursday. So if that's something you could step up and do, one Thursday a month, or even just one Thursday, Martha can put you in touch with how to get on the meal train. There's one vegetarian in the household, but other than that, they're not picky. So just wanted you to be aware of the opportunity, if that's something you can do, to just, it's one less thing. Sarah works and has 4 children to get to school and back and such. So especially once Matthew goes for the treatment and has to be isolated for those several months, she'll need all the help she can get here. So thank you all for your good thoughts, and check with Martha if you want to get on it, can help him back. Thanks.
Claire, I'm Erin. There's too many concerns to mention. There's too many. For those of you that are affected by a lot of the policies that are going on, which is everybody in some way, shape, or form, there's definitely people that are more affected. If you need something, let me know. But feeling for you and for all the emotions that you're going through. Joy-wise, I think it would be really cool if next week or the week after or something, if we could put up something where
our members can say, this is who I am, and this is my passion area. Because I didn't know, Greg, about the things that you were working on. I knew some of the things that you were working on, but I feel like everybody's got kind of an area, a niche of where they want to support people right now. And I think that'd be really cool to be able to see who those other supporters are in a safe way, as long as you feel comfortable, obviously. So that if we can help in some way, we can know, like, hey, Adrian's the person I need to talk to you for this. I can help in this way. Because like you said, there's too much. There's too much and it's overwhelming. The other thing I will say is, one, thank fucking God for John Stewart and Charlemagne. They're getting me through this. But two, if you don't already have a Blue Sky account, I personally don't want another communication or app or anything like that. But what I will say is I've gone on there and it brought a lot of hope back to me and where we are. And what I noticed the most from that is that it's showing the things that like Facebook and other groups aren't showing, where it's showing what are people actually doing versus how are people being affected. Because that's where Facebook is right now. They're trying to just push all these different things of here's all the bad stuff that you're so overwhelmed that you can't do anything. But what I found on Blue Sky is like I'm seeing where are the protests, who is doing it, what's the pictures from these things, who are people that are advocating for help. And I, as a conspiracy person, that probably is not inaccurate. I think that Facebook and general social media that's run by people who are linked to the Trump administration, they're pushing that down intentionally. So if you can get on there, it might give you a little bit of extra hope. I encourage you to do it. Sorry, that was really long.
Well,
I love you. About 3 years ago, really big, crazy, beautiful dog showed up on and yesterday he crossed over to the other side with us, holding on. So just go home and love on your pets because you're their whole lives, and they sometimes don't deserve people, but they love you all the same. Just that's all I'd say. Just go home and always keep them close to your heart.
Good morning, everybody. I want to light a candle to light in someone's life right now. We all know Miss Bella has been out for quite some time. I do go by and visit with her and Brad, normally at least once a week. But she's still struggling. She's having a hard time basically keeping a lot of her solid foods down and just feeling well. So she's now kind of on like an in-shore diet. She doesn't really leave the house very much, what food and stuff they get. Either Brad does make an occasional trip out to the store, or they'll have Walmart bring it to them. But she still has her spirits up, but you can tell that it's just weighing her down. It's getting to her. So just like everyone to keep her in your thoughts and your prayers, your meditations. And if you have contact information, just reach out and say hey, and tell them that we are thinking about them and that we do this and just. Granted, she's going to tell you they don't need anything. Just at least let her know that you care, we are thinking and we miss them. Thank you.
I'll light one candle for all the amazing visitors we have with us today. Thank you for being here. And I'll light a final candle for all those joys and concerns that are still too tender to escape the folds of our hearts. Let us keep one another in our care for the week. Let's take these joys and concerns and let's raise them up by standing as you are able, and join us as we sing together Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come. Remember if I had it. Join these together, we extinguish this chalice knowing that even though we are putting the flame out to keep the firemen happy, our light will continue to burn until we are back here together again. We extinguish this flame,
but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Do we have any announcements this morning?
The UUFS board meeting for February is tomorrow evening at 7 online. UUStatesboro.org. There's a portal. Zoom.
All right. Anyone else?
I would just like to say that following up on your message and what Adrian said, next week we will be having a special guest speaker from Atlanta, the executive director of the Georgia Latino Alliance Human Rights Organization. Her name is Adelina Nichols, and I encourage all of you to come. She should have some interesting information for us.
We have about discussion.
Yeah, we'll have, after you get some coffee and some goodies, of which I've seen there are some back there, we'll come back in here and talk about this one. Let us, as you are willing and able, let us stand together and we will sing our benediction as we go forth and continue our work.